Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the secrets behind those mind-numbing corporate filings, and today we have a special report that is all about a change in leadership and who is really pulling the strings behind the scenes. Today we are diving into a Form 8K filing for something called Hashdex Commodities Trust. Now this isn't your typical quarterly report with pages and pages of financial statements. This filing is all about a significant shake-up, a sponsorship replacement, and what that means for the trust, especially its Bitcoin ETF, known by the ticker DeFi. So what is the big news here? Well, the company that used to manage or sponsor this Bitcoin trust, a company called Tidal Investments LLC, has stepped down. And stepping into that role is a new sponsor, Hashdex Asset Management Limited. This change happened very recently, effective after trading closed on the 15th of January 2026. This isn't a big surprise though, as it was already hinted at in an earlier filing back in October 2025. Now, when a sponsor leaves and a new one takes over, a bunch of important agreements usually get cancelled, and that is exactly what happened here. Several key agreements that were with the old sponsor Tidal have been terminated. Think of it like a big clear out to make way for the new management. One of these terminated agreements was with Foreside Fund Services LLC, who were acting as a marketing agent. They helped with orders for creating and redeeming the trust shares and also reviewed any advertising materials. So the old marketing team is out. Then there was a custody agreement with Us Bank National Association. This is where the money and assets of the trust were held, with a new sponsor. It is logical that they'd want their own banking relationships or at least agreements that fit their new setup. Another one is the Fund Accounting Servicing Agreement with Us Bancorp Fund Services, LLC known as US Bank Global Fund Services. They were responsible for keeping the books, calculating the value of the trust's assets, and preparing financial reports. So, the accountants have changed hands. Similarly, the Transfer Agent Servicing Agreement, also with Us Bank Global Fund Services, has ended. The transfer agent is like the registrar for the shares, keeping track of who owns what and handling share creations and redemptions. And there was a Fund Administration Servicing Agreement with Tidal ETF Services LLC. This company helped with the overall operations of the trust, acted as a go-between for different service providers, and helped with regulatory compliance. So the day-to-day operational support team has also been replaced. Finally, there is an agreement that was actually amended and restated involving Tidal ETF Services, and now Hashdex. This agreement basically laid out the terms for launching, marketing, and running the DeFi ETF, including how profits and expenses would be shared. This is the crucial agreement that is now being operated under with the new sponsor. So the big takeaway from all these terminations is that there has been a significant change in who is in charge. Hashdex Asset Management Limited has officially taken over the sponsorship of the trust. This means Hashdex is now the one considered to be in control. They will be paid the management fee for their services, which is detailed in the trust's prospectus, Tidal. The previous sponsor has given up its control over the trust. Along with the change in sponsorship, there is also a departure of key personnel. Several individuals who held executive roles with Tidal, like the executive chairman, chief investment officer, chief of staff, chief executive officer, chief financial officer, and chief compliance officer, will no longer be performing their functions with respect to the trust. It is important to note that the trust itself doesn't have these executive officers in the traditional sense, but these individuals from Tidal were performing roles that in a typical company would be done by executives. Now, officers from Hashdex will be stepping in to handle these functions for the trust, as also outlined in the DeFi prospectus. As for financial statements and exhibits, this particular filing doesn't contain extensive financial tables with numbers to dissect, like a typical earnings report. Instead, it is focused on the corporate actions. The most notable exhibit here is the cover page interactive data file, which is standard for these filings. Now, let's put on our Warren Buffett hat and look at what this means. This filing isn't about the performance of the Bitcoin ETF itself, but rather about the management structure behind it. For investors in the DeFi ETF, this change in sponsor is a pretty big deal. It means a new management team is now responsible for the trust's operations, its strategy, and its compliance. The fact that the previous sponsor, Tidal, is handing over the reins to Hashdex suggests a shift in direction, or perhaps a strategic decision by Tidal to exit this particular venture. For Hashdex, taking over sponsorship of a Bitcoin ETF signifies their continued commitment to the cryptocurrency investment space. They are clearly aiming to grow their presence and influence in managing digital asset funds. One of the key risks here, although not explicitly detailed as a financial risk in this specific filing, is the transition itself. Any change in management can introduce a period of uncertainty. Investors need to ensure they understand Hashdex's approach to managing the trust and how their expertise aligns with the goals of the DeFi ETF. The prospectus for DeFi will be the go, to document for understanding Hashdex's specific responsibilities and any fees associated with their sponsorship. Overall, this filing signifies a completed transition of operational control for the Hashdex Commodities Trust. While it doesn't present new financial performance data, it does reveal a significant shift in the entity responsible for guiding the trust. The success of this transition will ultimately be judged by the continued stability and performance of the DeFi ETF under Hashdex's sponsorship. Alright, that is our breakdown of this sponsorship change. What is your take on this management shift and what it signals for the future of the DeFi ETF? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description for more community discussions. Thanks for watching. See you next time.